Welcome to Handcrafted by J.R. Broussard. I'm Greg Broussard, and today we're going to make a paper towel holder. The one I have now is a little plasticky thing. The paper towels keep falling out of it. So we're going to fix this issue by making an awesome paper towel holder upper. My mother recently had some trees cut down in her yard, and I milled up a bunch of stuff, and these are some boards that I milled, and in this area about 11% is about right for the wood. This is 11, this is 12, and this stuff that's been in the shop for 100 years is 11%, yeah, 11%. So we're good to build with this, and I'm just going to use some French curves and lay out how I want this thing to look, and make a board for it, attach the parts together, and we'll have a nice paper towel holder. And I gotta make this round. Before I draw this out on a piece of wood, I need to find out how big my circle is. So this is what I have to work with, so this is what it's gonna be. So I'll just mark where the center of this thing is, and then I'll draw inside this how big of a circle that I can have. Let me see what I got. So pretty much, so this is the size that I'm going to use to draw it out with the French curves. I need to know how big the brackets are going to be. This is going to be under the counter mount type of situation. So this is a brand new full roll of paper towels, and I need the distance from the top so it doesn't hit the top of the counter. So I needed my bracket at least to come down this high from the ceiling or from underneath the counter. And that's the size of the paper towel roll. I'm not going to drop it down this far. I don't think that's necessary. And let me see if I can kind of estimate where that's going to be. So the center is like somewhere around in here. Yep. So the center of the paper towel roll can't be any higher than that. So I need to drill my hole here. So that will give us plenty of slack from the top of the undercounting mount, you know, where so the paper towel doesn't hit the top of the counter. So I will draw my circle right here. And then let's play with these to see how I want this to come down from the top. Maybe kind of goofy looking, but this will work. So I'll cut this, and then I will have put two of them together, and I'll cut all this out at the same time. And that should be enough for my paper towel roll not to hit the top of the under counter part. You can see that this board is cupped, and it's really bad right here, of course, where the grain goes like this. So I found half of the board, and of course you go in from one side, make a mark, go on the other side, and you keep working yourself until you find the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this board in half here, and then I'm going to flatten this, and it should flatten relatively easy. I'm just going to do it on the drum sander, and then we'll redraw our design on here. Seeing how this board is cupped so badly, I'm going to flip it where the cup part is up, and will be more stable when I'm running it through the saw. And I'm just going to center my tooth right on my line and cut that. This came off the table saw this way. I want to keep my grain oriented, so when I make my hangers, the grain's going to match each other. It's not that big of a deal, but it always looks cooler when you do that. So I'm just going to mark it on the end grain. So I know the 1 and 2s will go together like that. And then we're going to run it through the drum sander with the cup side up. So if we put it this way, it's going to rock. Yeah, a little bit. So we're going to go through that way and then run it through the drum sander a couple times. I'm going to run the boards through the drum sander, and this will spin, and this belt will push the material through, and then I'll adjust it a tiny bit with the lever, and then until I get it flat, then I'll turn it over and I'll do the other side, and then these will be exactly the same thickness. I went ahead and drew my pattern back on and used the compass to get the outside diameter and just the French curve to, you know, kind of smooth that out. And to get this where I wanted it, I just put my paper towel roll there, and I just got a pencil. And for the roundest side of it, I just stuck it in here and then drew kind of sort of where I wanted it. It's important that the top of the paper towel doesn't hit the underneath side of the cabinet. And this line here is the thickness of this board, because I'm going to make this a through tenon. So once everything is said and done, there's going to be a board that goes through here. It's going to be a through wedge tenon to hold this together. So that's what that mark is for. And now I'm going to sticky tape these together and cut them at the same time. This is carpet tape, and it's super sticky and lasts a really long time. So I will cut little section of this carpet tape out, and I will just apply it to the underneath side in just different areas, and it'll be taped together. I don't want to tape it where I'm going to drill the hole though. I think that's a little bit big. Let me trim that. Okay, so that, do one more smaller piece in the middle here, just in case. There we go. All right, now I'll stick these two parts together. To do stickers, it's really easy to use the edge of your razor blade, and you can take off the backing. And we'll put these together. And I've got my numbers on here. So they were cut. How is it? All right, they're cut that way, like this. They were together this way, so I'm just going to get this, I'm going to set it on top. And I will line it up and squish it together. All right, we'll cut these at the same time. Now that the side supports are done, I have to do the part that it's connected to, and we're going to make it out of this and my accurate measuring device. So we'll cut the, oops, we'll just make it, this eyeball, give me a little extra to play with to make it flat. And we'll cut this board about right here. We'll cut it right there. Right now, let's see, how am I going to do that? Yeah, we'll cut it right there. This is sketchy. I'm going to run it through like this. Yeah, we'll run it through like, just like that. This one's making me nervous. Little sketchy on that one. So that's what it looks like when I cut it. That's not going to work. So I went and got me another piece, and obviously you can see that this one's got some issues, but we only need a small piece of this. So let's cut that, see what we get out of this one. I like to start it with that. And I can go to a little bit more of aggressive saw. Okay. Whew. All right. Let's clean that up. We're planed down to our line, and now we can make it the width that we need it. So we went from this raw cut off the Alaskan chainsaw mill stuff down to this nice pretty board. I think this side looks better than this side. So we're going to make this side underneath the cabinet. And there's our measurer to figure out how wide we need it. Our boards are still marked, so we know they go like this. And we know where we're going to cut this. And I want a little space. I don't want it too tight in there. I want it flopping around a little bit so it's easy to get off. And this will be our measurement right there. So to make sure that this is straight, I'm going to use the flat part of this to reference off the face of that board, and I'm going to push this piece up against there, and then we'll make sure it's square. And I'll draw a line. This is where this one goes. And then I'll do the same to the other side. A little bit more space. I want it easy to get in and out. And then this side is 2, and this side is 1. And we need to cut the board right here on both sides. I'm going to cut a rabbet in here for these parts to fit into at the end. And I've set up my gauge here where I can cut my first cut, then I can just turn the board around and make my first cut again, and then I'll slowly whittle that away. I've already put my measurements on here. I know how deep the cut it's on there, so when this fits in, I just eyeballed it. So this is going to go down about halfway, and it's going to go in here. So I'm going to take this whole little corner piece off of this board, and we will set our parts into that for the paper towel holder. And while it's still setting here, I'm going to reference off my gauge, my miter gauge. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now I can start whittling away the rest of this material to the outside. Okay, that's one. We'll clean this up with a shoulder plane. Now this part fits right in there, just like that. Now I'm going to cut the other side the same way. This is right off the table saw, and you can see where the table saw blades were hitting that, and that's not going to allow this to fit like nice and perfect flush down. So what I'm going to do is use my shoulder plane, and I just have my dogs in my dog holes, and I'm just going to shoulder plane the table saw marks off the joint. And I have to come in this way. I can't push it all the way through because I could break these fibers out, so I have to turn my tool around, my plane, and I have to come in from the other side, just like that. Move it to this side so I can stop it with the dogs. And we'll turn it around, we'll do the other side. Let's check the fit. Looks pretty good. I'm a little bit proud on the side here. I can plane that down. And I did the heavy on one side. I'm just going to sand that flush. But there we go. All right, well, I can actually shooting board that off. It's a little bit too wide, so I'm going to put me some marks on here. I'm going to line it up at the bottom, put a razor mark here, and I'll put one up here. And then what I'll do is I'll plane down to that line. I'll just take it off that way. From those lines, I'll just use my finger gauge, and I'll just kind of draw me a line about how much I need to take off, and I'll plane down to that line. Oops, I got to plane this way, so the line's going to be in the back. You can see how the grain, how it kind of goes this way, the fibers, and they come out the board. So if I plane this way, I'm going to get tear out on the top. So I have to plane this. I can't plane this way. I have to plane that way, not against the grain that's coming up here. So I have to turn this board around because I'm right-handed. And now you can see it looks like it's actually going uphill, the grain is. So I won't get tear out. So my line's going to be in the back. That's fine. I'll just watch it. Okay. I think we're almost there. Yep. Okay. So we're not sticking out. I planed that extra down. Looks like our joint is nice and flush. And on this side too, it's nice and clean right there. And I didn't have to shoulder plane that. This came off the table saw. I'm surprised I didn't have to clean that up. And this little sticking part over here, I think I'm just going to sand that off. Well, you know what? I can shooting board that just for the fun of it. Let's do that. So I'm going to use the shooting board to square up my ends and go to my line. I put that little razor line right there. And all this is my number 8 plane. That's what I like to use on it. And it just rides on the side of it. And this fence is square to this blade. And the blade is set, the iron is set super duper duper light. So I can come back with my shooting plane and I can have just barely kiss the end of that and take off just a tiny bit at a time. I got to engage a little bit more. And then to keep this from tearing out, I get my other plane and I just chamfer that corner just a tiny bit so that it doesn't tear out that side. I'm almost to my razor line. I'm going to check that. We'll put this here, and we're pretty good. So we took down to our razor line, so now the board doesn't stick out in the front or the back or the sides. And now I have to do the other side. Now the board was in this way, and I should reference from the same edge, and I should flip it over, but I can't see my line, so I'm going to turn it around, reference from the other side. If I did my job right, these are parallel, and I can put this in and I can do the other one, but I need to chamfer this so I don't get tear out on this back grain right here. Just to where that line is, maybe a little bit more. Okay, barely chamfered that. And then I can come in and start hand planing, or shooting, whatever you want to call it. Almost to my razor. Okay, I think that's it right there. This is side number 2, this is number 1. Side number 2, let's see how that fits. I can still feel a little lip, so I'm gonna go a little bit farther, not much. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. All right, so we should be good with that. I'm going to come back and I'm going to router these corners. I can router this all the way down. I can router both sides of the hole, but I can't router this all the way down. So for the inside of this, I'm going to draw a line where I need to stop my router for the rounding part of this. So let's router that now, and we should be pretty much done after that. Well, I forgot. I still have to make the part that goes through and holds the paper towel roll. Awesome. Now, this will sit in here. This curve doesn't go all the way to the joint. Now I stopped it. I just have to get rid of these little fuzzies on here. I am going to glue and screw this. I know that's against every law in the universe, but that's what I'm going to do because I don't feel like waiting for anything to dry. I want to use my paper towel holder. So I'll just come in from an inch from each side and put me a mark, and that'll keep my screws consistent. And then I'll just guess this way where the middle is, and I'll put a starter hole for drilling with the awl. I'll do the same to the other side and we'll drill those. I just did a countersink with my countersink bit on my drill press, and I forgot to turn the camera on, but that's all I did right there. I'm going to run some screws in here. I'm going to leave the tip sticking out just a little bit, so when I put this on, I can mark where to drill a pilot hole on my part, and then we'll glue and attach those. We'll do that on both sides. Before I glue and screw this on, I'll clean up those fuzzies from drilling. So I'm going to line my part up, and then I'm going to put little dimples in the wood of where I'm to drill for pilot holes for these. There we go. And then these two little marks, that's where I'll drill my pilot hole. Seeing how I'm a ding dong, I didn't drill my holes before I made this all round. So in order to get straight down through straight holes in there, well, first of course I came back with my awl and made these holes, those little dimples a little bit bigger, and I had to level my drill press table, and then now this is level this way, and it's also level going this way. So now my hole should be straight, and a little bit more work because I didn't think ahead, but that's okay. Now I can drill these holes. Before I glue this on there, I'm just checking to make sure that my joint still is tight after I put the screws in, because sometimes, you know, a part will move if it's not drilled straight. So it looks like the first one I put on looks pretty good. So I'm gonna drill the second one in and see what we come up with, see if it's straight like it's supposed to be. Let's see. Oh, there's a little gap in this one that doesn't make me happy. This one is really clean. So the screws has pulled this off just a little bit. I can live with that. So you know what? I might not even glue this. I just might leave it like this because I have to check it, but make sure it fits where it goes so I don't have to take anything apart. So I'll just leave it like this, and I will finish routering this out, this outside edge, and that's it. And then I'm going to make the paper towel thing that goes right here. So we have to turn this, make it round, and it looks like there's some cracks or checking or something in there. And obviously this is too long. I want it to stick it out a little bit on either side, plus I need a little bit to play with when I'm on the lathe. So if I lathe it here, and I will cut it here, and this will be all my working surface here. So I need to cut this right here. And because we do a lot of hand tool work, I'm going to unnecessarily use hand tools. It's, to me, a lot better to use hand tools often because you learn a lot more about wood doing it. Plus, it's cool to use old tools. Anyway, this is the old saw that I got from an antique place. The handle was gone and missing. I made another handle for it, bought some little brass nuts for it, made a really cool handle for it. And it's my tenon saw, but I'm going to use it to cut this. And we'll put it on lathe. There we go. So, hand tools are so awesome. But anyway, I'm going to make this a little bit of octagon shape because I find it easier to turn stuff that's not square because I'm not really a big lathe guy. And we'll mark the center. I've already started turning it into round here, and those are the corners that I put on. I took the corners off, and I'm just hitting it with the gouge, and that was smart. I wasn't paying attention. So I had to disassemble it. I come over and I discovered that it's too big to fit in the hole. So I can make this smaller. I can make the hole bigger. I can make a whole new bracket. I'm going to make the hole bigger. The only way that I know how to do that is you have to cut plugs and put plugs in there and re-drill it to the size that you want. So I've made some plugs just out of plywood, and I'm going to put these in, find the center of that the best I can, and then re-drill. It's a little off. I'm just going to individually drill them, thread off a little bit. Paper towel thing will still work, so let's see if I can start this. This is the hard part. You've got to start it. That's why you have to put that plug in there. Whoa. Oh, that's cool. That little plug came out and it started spinning and burning on this other side. That's pretty wicked. That's awesome. Now it fits in there and it rolls just fine. And I still have to cut these off. So now I have to router the new holes. There we go. Yay! A paper towel holder upper. I just have to cut the ends of this off and kind of make them look pretty. And then this will be done, except for stain and then the clear. I just clipped it underneath my messy shelf for a test drive, and let's see, falls in there. See, that's what I'm talking about. That thing is strong. That's what kind of paper towel holder you need. All right, now, since it works, what we need to do is either stain it or just put clear on it or figure out what we're going to do with that. And I think that is done. I'm going to apply some stain. It's going to be Red Chestnut 232. It's a Minwax. And I thought it was a cool color for this. So let's apply a little bit of stain to it. Now we have to put the stamp of approval on there. Just put a little water. A little water, Greg, not a whole bucket. Jeez. Okay. Already found the center of the board and stamp it. Yay. Okay. I'm going to use Hellman's clear gloss, the spar urethane, because it's going in the kitchen. I know it's a plasticky kind of thing, but it'll work great in the kitchen. This is my current paper towel holder, and you can see that this thing doesn't hold it well, and if the end of the paper towel roll is exactly round to fit inside there, it just doesn't work well. So we're going to eliminate that, and I'm going to install the new paper towel holder here where the old one was. So I have to unscrew this and screw the other one in. There's two flathead screws that are down here screwed into the bottom of the cabinet. If I can get a bite on it, I'll take these out. Oh, yay. You know, I think I'm going to pull this to the front of the cabinet where it's lined up, and we'll drop it in right there with our screw gun. The screws aren't going to go through. I measured them. that's way better. I can take my paper towels off. It's gonna stay on here. It's not gonna fall down. That is so awesome. Well, I'm super happy to have my new paper towel holder upper. It's gonna work awesome. Leave some comments and tell me what you think. It's not in the best shape on the planet. What is going on? Not ready. I'm not ready. Here we go. Stop moving, camera. What is that? 232. Man, oh man, oh man. I'm done, really. Test 1, 2, testing.